Hello everyone, it's dragonplatinum here, and today we are back with Playing Crazy. Now, today, we're doing something special, something I've been planning to do for multiple months, and just now I'm finally getting to it, and that is I'm going to teach you guys how to motorlock on Playing Crazy. Now, I know some of my viewers will already know all of this, and this won't be new, but this is for, like, the new players or the people who don't know anything about it. This is your chance to learn how to get into more advanced building in a very simple way. I tried to build this and like set this up as simple as I possibly could, because I know when I learned Motorlock, it had to be like spoon-fed to me very simply so I could understand it. But once you understand it, really cool stuff can be made. You can make some really cool things, and building just becomes a whole lot more fun. But really quickly, just before we hop into the motorlocking madness, if you haven't already, go down below, hit that subscribe button. It supports the channel and will notify you whenever I post a brand new video. Alright, let me teach you guys about motorlocking. So motorlocking is basically a way to take your building from like beginner to a more intermediate and advanced level of stuff. You can make things more detailed, more complicated, and more effective and more useful just through motorlocking. So this right here, this guy right here in this orange box is a motorlock. And actually I should probably bring in his cousin, the motor. So the motor is everything. It is the most important block in this game, I would say, and it is the most important part of this function, which is motorlocking. So as you can see here, I've opened up the interface on the motor by going to edit it, and we have a bunch of options, but we also have an option called lock. Now this is what we're going to want to click, and we're going to want to turn off powered here. And if we pop out of this and we just quickly start up our build, you can see that it actually squishes down that gray part just a little bit, about half a block. It squishes it down. When you do that and you put a motor on top of a motor and have the two gray parts connect, it actually brings whatever is connected to it down an entire block. So I'll just quickly demonstrate again here. Let's just attach this. So there's our block. This should squish it down one whole block here. So boom, there we go. This block would have originally had no way of connecting to both this gray part and this gray part, but because of motorlocking, we've managed to squish everything down into one block. Now, using only one single lone motorlock is kind of complicated to actually show things off, so we can actually combine our motorlocks to make a simple lock, which is this guy right here. Or, I mean, technically, you could also use this, but that's kind of overkill, and there's much better ways to set stuff up than to make a motorlock thing like this. It's kind of a mess. Okay, so let's say that we're trying to build something, and we had, I don't know, let's say we had a, let's grab a wedge block, and let's say we had a random wedge block here, and we're just building with something, but all of a sudden we wanted to have a half block kind of stick out of the side here, but we still wanted to keep that little bit of a curve. And I'm just going to recolor this so it can be seen just a bit better here. So there's our two parts. Originally, we can't do anything about this. We wanted a block to come stick out of here, but we can't do that. However, with motorlocking, we can make that happen. So let's start our build. That will all squish together. And as you can see here, we've still got that curve coming in a little bit. Now, obviously this isn't the best example because it does kind of look ugly. But as you can see, we do have like that little bit of a curve. And we still got this part of the wedge here. But now we have a block sticking directly out of the side. And originally, with normal building, you can never do that. However, with motorlocking, you can basically stick blocks together and make them one, basically making more advanced shapes. Now eventually you are going to run out of space on one simple lock. That is where a simple Motorlock Tower comes in. And this is basically a bunch of simple locks stacked on top of each other to make a tower, and give you more space to add more parts, more stuff, whatever you need to add. It gives you more room to work with. Now, Motorlock Towers are like 100 times more effective than simple locks, and to demonstrate that, I'm just gonna do something really simple here. So let's just put a block there, and say that we wanted a wedge to stick out of it, but we didn't want to use just like a normal wedge like this. We didn't want that. We wanted something different. So we grabbed a wedge 1x3 and we put it on like that, and then we locked it together. And then we end up with something like this. So normally when you're using wedges on normal blocks, obviously it would like attach at the top right here and there would be no gap. However, since we're using motorlocking, there is now a gap there, and we have like a sort of different wedge sort of setup now. I think you could actually probably pull this off with a half wedge, but that's besides the point. Motorlocking is useful, trust me, it's just really useful, but this is just basic examples to show stuff off. And I am going to be building some of these just to actually show it off in function. This is just to kind of demonstrate everything really quickly, but you can also build them sideways. I should probably mention that. I'm not very good at doing them sideways, but it's literally the same idea. It literally just snaps them together sideways, and there's no big difference. Now let's get into something even more complicated than our simple Motorlock Tower, and that would be a spin lock, or at least I call them spin locks. There's probably different names for them, but I call these spin locks. And as you can see, I've kind of color-coded everything to help you guys out if it's your first time, but I've colored my spin motors in pink. I've colored the parts that I'm going to be moving in yellow. And obviously we've got red for the TNT, orange for my connectors to build up my tower, and blue is just an anchor block to keep this upright. You really don't need it, it's just because I needed it. Now the special thing about these spin locks is that if we actually go to one of these pink locks here, you can notice that not only is it powered, but it's also locked at the same time. This allows me to actually move the motor as it's locked, and then it will like sort of lock back into place once I'm done moving it. So let's just demonstrate that really quickly. And if we press R, as you can see, everything just immediately unlocked, and we can kind of rotate everything, and then it's not supposed to fall over. That's kind of what the anchor's for, but if we press backspace and we get rid of all the TNT, we get this shape. And normally you wouldn't be able to actually build like this. Like, you can't make blocks turn like that or set up your wings like this, but with spin locking that is all possible. And as you can see, our little Motorlock Tower is in here, and it looks just like that one, but it's got all of this different stuff attached to it, and it made just like sort of like a new glider shape that looks actually really good. So that is spin locking. It's pretty complicated, and don't expect to get it on your first try. Along with all these other locks, it's all trial and error. It's all about learning. Don't get discouraged right off the bat. I know that like figuring out motor locking took me a long time. Only now am I starting to get like more confident at it, but I've still got a lot to learn, and I had to wait to make this video until I was confident enough in my own abilities to try to teach other people. That doesn't mean that I don't mess up sometimes, and that is what we're going to go check out next. Alright, so these are some common issues. So you might be looking at them right off the bat and be going, huh, well that doesn't look too weird. You've built the Motorlock Towers, and everything seems to be going fine here. We've got some parts, we're obviously trying to do some motor locking, and this one just looks normal. Like, what could be wrong with it? Well, let me show you. If we just start our build here, and we go back, you'll notice that all the locks are kind of broken, and they don't come together nicely like this one, but they're all just kind of jumbled up and messed up. Well, there's multiple reasons for that, and you will find this as you're building and doing your own thing, that sometimes you'll mess up your own stuff. These are just 3 simple examples of things that can happen, because there's a lot of different things that can mess up motor locks that can be pretty touchy at times, but this is just some common stuff that does happen to me at least. And the first one here is that you've got blocks attaching to locks when they shouldn't be. So as you can see here, I've built kind of like an L shape, and obviously it connects to one motor lock, and it does connect to this other one here, but that one really doesn't matter too much. But it also connects to this one up here. That is where the problem comes in. Because we are connected to one lock down here and one lock up here, the way that everything kind of snaps together gets messed up and it breaks it. So actually this is a really simple fix. If we just delete this block and we go into our blocks and grab the 1 by 0.9 and spin it so that 0.9 side gives us a tiny gap between it and the motor. And let's just make this glass. So there we go, we've got our shape. We still have our same shape on the outside. Everything looks pretty much the same except for that tiny little gap right there, not allowing this motor to connect all the way down to this motor. If we snap this together, suddenly everything is back to normal and fixed. So this is a problem that I run into all the time, and it's just parts that kind of accidentally get stuck to other motor lock bits when they shouldn't be. Really easy to overcome sometimes. Sometimes you have to build up your tower even higher to put more detail in, but this happens a lot to me, and I just wanted to show it off so that you don't get discouraged if it breaks immediately. There's a good chance that maybe you've just got a part connected to another part when it shouldn't be, and you need to go back and kind of mess around with it. Now our next issue here looks really weird, and as you can see, we still have that orange block in the middle, but it's not a cylinder or a wing panel. It is actually a normal block. And this is why we don't use normal blocks for connecting the Motorlock Towers, because they do this. And it's because it grabs onto all of the different locks around it, because it connects to all the faces, and it just breaks it, like destroys it immediately. So yeah, try not to ever use anything but cylinders or wing panels. I do believe there's a few other blocks that you can kind of put in the middle, but I don't know them off the top of my head, and cylinders and wing panels are usually my go-to all the time, so I do recommend those. And then finally we have this motor lock down here, which everything looked fine on the build, and everything looked okay. Everything looked like it would come together perfectly fine. And if we just actually just regen it here, like everything looks normal, right? Well, this is a problem that can sometimes happen if you just accidentally forget, and it's super simple. But I believe here I left one of my locks unlocked. Really easy fix. It happens to me sometimes. I just forget that I need to lock something, and it ruins the motor lock. But if we just go back over, switch that back to locked, then we end up with a fixed motor lock. Really simple fix. Okay, so now that I've kind of shown everything off and kind of demonstrated some simple fixes and just kind of demonstrated everything at least that I know, I'm going to show you guys how to build some of this stuff. Like, obviously you could just copy most of the things that I've done, and that would work too, but sometimes it's helpful to watch somebody build it as they build it. So let's get to this here. So let's grab our motors, and I'm going to put this guy right here, and we're going to set up a simple Motorlock tower. So we're going to delete that. And this is just really easy. I've built a lot of these over my many months of playing, and you'll get the hang of it too once you actually start to get used to it and like do more of it. So there is our basic tower. Let's go grab ourselves a cylinder, and we'll put this guy in between the little connections, little open spaces that we have. And I'm just going to color these orange again, just to help out for you guys. And we have to make sure that everything is locked. So we'll just go over it all, make sure everything is all locked up here. There we go. And you know what? Let's do some rotation locking as well, because I think that might help. So another block that's really useful sometimes to use is cameras, because they're invisible. So it makes it kind of nice for attaching stuff together. But let's just do our rotation lock here. We're basically just rebuilding this, just again for you guys to see the process that goes into it. So we want this to be powered and locked, and we're going to put a half block up here, put one there, and we're going to grab our wings, put these guys on, grab our delta wings, slap these guys on to the edges, and I think that should be good. Let's just color our rotating locks pink, and we need to put in our explosives. Now, I've been told that this method of using explosives for motor locking does not work on public servers, only works on PvP and private servers. I can't say much about that because I really only use private servers to build, so spin locking might be a little bit harder on public servers. I'm just going to say that right now. But let's go into our explosives. Let's make this backspace and just turn all of this down to 0. Copy, paste, paste, and paste. Okay. And let's just change our controls there. Alright, so I believe we've managed to set up our simple spin lock. Let's start up our build, and let's press... There we go. So as you can see, we've got everything rotating, and we even missed one of our motors. I totally forgot about that. That motor up here, probably still powered, and probably not locked. So let's go and fix that. Which one was it? It was probably... Yeah, so as you can see, even me, who's been doing this for a long time now, still make mistakes as I go along here. So let's fix that up. And that should be better now. Let's rotate. There we go. We got no more spinning locks. Let's adjust that in a little bit. Press backspace to lock it together. And there we go. Now it did kind of fall over a little bit, but it is locked together properly. And it looks good. Now I'm just going to save this really quickly. And I'm going to show off a few things that I've built with motor locking, just so you guys can get an idea of its practical uses. So here's an example of my Avro arrow that I built a while back. As you can see, we got a lot of locking going on here in the center and just kind of attaching blocks as we go along here. It does look really, really complicated. Trust me, I was there. I know it looks complicated to begin with, but as you get along and you start to build more, it becomes easier to understand. This one incorporated a lot of different stuff that I had learned. So it had incorporated the spin locking. We've got right here in the wings and at the back here as well. We've got normal motor locking, which is just our tower that we've built here. And then we obviously have some explosives and stuff for the spin locks that we're trying to put together. And it came together to make this. Let me just get a better camera angle here. So as you can see, on a big plane, we can still move the wings, just like in my little example. We can lock it together with the TNT, and then it comes together to build a nice little plane. And you can see just by looking like face first at my tutorial plane here, you can see like the bends in the wings and the bends in the back here that I could never normally get with just normal building. It's only because of spin locking I'm able to get that kind of stuff like on like that, and to get like this actual shape I could have never got without motor locking. Alright, I'm just going to go over everything one last time. So this right here is your very basic motor lock. This is what everything is based off of. Over here, this is a simple lock, the beginnings of a Motorlock Tower. This right here is your simple Motorlock Tower. Looks really nice, extremely effective, and one of the most important things in the game. Over here is an example of rotation locking or spin locking. Really useful stuff, especially for like wings and for doing custom wedges and stuff. Something I'm not too experienced with, but the wings and stuff like that I've used a lot, and it makes planes and other builds just look really, really cool. And obviously we went over all of like the small issues and problems that you can run into when you're doing motor locking and how they can be easily fixed and, you know, put back together. But anyways guys, that's really all I have for this little beginner's guide to motorlocking. I know I'm no teacher, and I hope that you're at least able to like grasp a little bit of the concepts that I'm trying to show off here today. Again, if you don't understand anything in the video the first watch through, you can always go back, watch it again, stop at certain parts, go over, copy some of the builds that we've got going on here, and you know, learn and experiment, try your own things, and just get to know motorlocking. It's as simple as that. Basically, once you understand this tower right here, everything opens up, and it just becomes like super insane with the stuff you can build. But other than that, guys, I really hope this video helped you out. Let me know down in the comments below if there is any questions or any little tips that you would have to improve the video. I'm going to try my best to respond to comments as quickly as I can. Obviously, once the video gets like a week old, I probably won't respond to too many more comments. But if you have any more questions, you know, let me know down in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer them. Like I said, always keep learning. My video is not the only one on motorlocking. There's probably other videos out there to learn from and learn more, even more advanced stuff. Like I said, this is just the basics. This is just what I know. I am not the most knowledgeable player on this game. There is people who know a lot more about this game than I do. And this is just like the basic, simple stuff that I know how to put together, that I am teaching to you guys. But yeah, that's really all I've got for this video, guys. So hey, if you guys like this video, feel free to give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, guys, it's Dragon Platinum, signing out. Peace out, guys. Bye, and good luck with motorlocking.